And welcome to my final podcast of the year, the Wrestling Through Podcast, episode number 818, AEW World's End, post-show. Time to go and talk about MJF dropping the AEW World title after a 406-day reign. Let's go ahead and just take that point right there. So it was a Full Gear 2022, he won it, and held on to it. A very commendable run. And yeah, it was about the time to go ahead and drop the belt. I can understand where, if you needed to do it somewhere, who was going to go and do that? Well, you did it by putting a very elaborate storyline in place. Now, we could have gone back to when MJF and Adam Cole faced each other at first, right? Remember, and all that they did before. So, first of all, it was June 7th when Adam Cole came back, right? And it was on AEW Dynamite. They had a match the following week for the world title, time limit draw, 30 minutes draw, remember? But then we didn't even go back to the world title at all until, because of the fact that the AEW Blind Eliminator Tournament, which that whole storyline went along, going into All in Wembley, right? All in London. And we got into that. And I'll tell you, when they put that together, it was quite interesting to put the buddies, the best friend kind of buddy cop kind of thing going on with this storyline. But they did. And it worked really well. People really got to the point where they were really all enjoying themselves. Like the Adam Cole MJF stuff was very good stuff throughout the fall. People really enjoyed it. So remember, the vignettes that they did, you had start off with MJF admitting he had never had a friend to play video games with. Then they also had a trip to a trampoline park. And, there was more to it. And we learned how MJF and Adam Cole rubbed off on each other, how they both worked with each other as they did. Remember, in the Wembley Stadium show, the tag team titles, and have to set that up for them to win the tag team titles, right? And then face each other later in the night. And remember all those times we had all this was going on. Now, some people are already talking about the fact that Adam Cole had been flashing heel tendencies as far back as the August 23rd episode of Dynamite, because he told MJF, reminded him of who he truly is. And they've been playing that going along. And the thing was that we didn't even really know that out of the storyline, it was without any real kind of announcement that MJF in the storyline turned face. Because we were going to ask ourselves, how are you going to go ahead and turn MJF face? Let me, for those people out there that are complaining about the storyline tonight and saying, oh, they didn't do it good enough. You know what? Okay. So my fellow podcast wrestling brethren, I know you're going to go ahead and shit on this and everybody's going to go after Tony Khan. That's fine. I got it. No surprise there. Everybody's going to have their own idea of how they go ahead and put the storyline. But remember, some of the people that are going to be giving their take on the storyline and how it should have been paid off, they're going to say, oh, because Vince would have done it different. Or WWE would have done it differently. Right. Why do we have to do what everybody else does? Why does it have to be what WWE does? Why? It doesn't have to be. I think that for what Tony Khan did, it was a stretch for him to go and go so intricate with a storyline like this. And look, a lot of people got involved in this. All right. Wardlow was out with injury. They bring him back into the fold. He comes in. Samoa Joe has now been, pushed back up to the top as a champion. And this is after he drops the Ring of Honor World Television title to go after and cash in on the chance, like doing an option C and going after MJF. So Wardlow was already making plans to go ahead and get MJF's demise. The Devil was already doing that, but nobody knew it was Adam Cole. Now, people started getting the inklings of it because even though Adam Cole is on crutches and he's been injured, I mean, he was still legitimately injured, but the thing was that until he was able to go and come back to, doing some kind of work, not probably in ring yet, but he'd be able to go ahead and just be a figurehead of this newly formed faction. Sure, some people are going to say it's like a little bit of an outshoot of the Undisputed Era, but a little bit different because Wardlow's brought into a group of Ring of Honor types that have been very much with Adam Cole going back to the Kingdom. With Roddy Strong, who comes in, now he's all clean shaven. No more of the, thing with the wheelchair and all that kind of stuff going on. This was a complete ruse. The Kingdom going off to their own thing, and then Roddy and Adam going after each other, and Samoa Joe playing along with this too. Like, really, it was a complete mindfuck. MJF was completely screwed over on so many different ways. He didn't see what was coming, but he was softened up. Remember, you could have done this to him if he was a heel, and he was still on his shit. But what needed to happen here was to do the double turn. You know, how are you going to get MJF to go face? They did that. Listen, the way you don't like the ending, but look what they accomplished. All right, they accomplished so much on the storyline. The execution, you want to shit on that, whatever. But what they actually got out of it, let's actually get what the payoff was. MJF finally drops the belt. He drops the belt to Samoa Joe. No problem with that. People don't like that Samoa Joe was able to go ahead and tap him out, or I mean, basically was able to submit him. Why not? With a rear naked choke? That's what Samoa Joe does. All right? He won the Ring of Honor World TV title with that. Okay? That move has been made strong in Ring of Honor and strong in AEW. So without anything else, Samoa Joe just basically just showed he was going to take down the world champ. But remember, the world champ has been beaten and bruised and battered. He's got the sling on him. He's got the shoulder thing. He's got all the, the tape. He's got all he's got all that stuff on. Like, how much longer do you think he was able to go? And honestly, if he was hurt, then he needed some time off. And that's what he did. So seeing MJF right now at this point, be able to go as far as he did, the guy was just banged up. Like, yeah, give him some time off, man. Give him a chance to chill, man. He needs time to come back in here, and who knows how much time he gets off. I mean, the guy's been nonstop. Let's think about the health of the stars here. Okay, he's your world champion now for 406 days. He's been working his ass off. And he's been out there, and he's been just doing a lot. Now, to turn him face, successfully turn him face, still has some remnants of his heeldom, right? He's our scumbag. That whole intro was wonderful. The way they set him up in there, the match that he had, the way that Adam Cole was brought out and accompanied MJF to the ring, great. Love that. And without any kind of chance to hear any from them beforehand, right? Because remember, Adam Cole went for his surgery. He had the whole thing with the Kingdom and all that bullshit going on. We didn't hear anything else from him. And all of a sudden, he just pops up tonight. Samoa Joe already screwed over MJF on Dynamite. So you set things up. All right, things are already happening. And somehow, the Devil and his henchmen are all part of it. So the Devil, first of all, Samoa Joe gets the Ring of Honor World Tag Team titles off of MJF. Okay, you cleared that out. And then you also humble MJF by taking the belt off of him. You take everything from him, except for the Dynamite Diamond ring. That's all he has left. So he's back to square one. With a complete double cross from Wardlow, one of his henchmen, but was eventually going to turn it anyway. But we didn't know that Wardlow was going to go ahead and go after. We already knew that Wardlow and MJF already having their thing before, but to see the turnover and then Wardlow turning heel, right? But now the thing is that Wardlow and Samoa Joe, I need a payoff on that because I don't know where to go with that right there. That's the part I'm a little bit. I need an explanation on that. But everything else, we can get it all tied up. Adam Cole now gets the revenge he was wanting to get in the first place because you knew somebody was going to have to double cross each other in this friendly storyline anyway. So here it was. And look, they took 6 months to get here. Pretty quickly. A 6-month storyline, very intricate, a lot of people involved, right? You get the Kingdom in it, you get Wardlow in it, you get Samoa Joe in it, MJF, and we got this story here and it's done. I don't have a problem with it. I think what they did was we had to go and see MJF drop off. To see him lose the belt. The thing is, I give credit that Tony Khan decided to pull the trigger. For everyone else, because it feels like, oh, well, when you get to have a long title reign, listen, let me just say this too. For those of you who are looking into next year, and you're going to ask yourself, okay, how are they going to get the belt off of Seth Rollins eventually? The belt off of Gunther's belt off of him, and Roman Reigns' belt off of him. Explain to me how they're going to do that. Okay? Because you just can't. feel satisfied with just one star doing this, right? With MJF's title run, he was a complete scumbag heel, full-fledged, and just kicking ass. And then all of a sudden, this whole thing with Adam Cole, he turns completely 180, becomes a face. He really flips the script, turns face, so he becomes vulnerable, because any babyface is going to be vulnerable when they do that. And the friendship. And MJF was right to have been skeptical from the beginning, and they showed that. But Adam Cole, for him to go and pull this trick right here, this is good. This is like Kaiser Soze good. Like, this is what they did was Adam Cole now is the top heel of the company. They pulled it off. And he's a good heel. Adam Cole can pull this right here. Great. And he's got a hell of a faction right now. Right? This is like the pinnacle. Really, it's like what MJF had with the pinnacle. Now Adam Cole has with his own faction. Okay, he's got his tag team with the Kingdom. He's got his big heavyweight, his tough, he's got his big guy with Wardlow. And Adam Cole's right there just in the mix. And, he's got a lot of protection in front of him. And Samoa Joe just became the recipient. He's not involved with the devil and all that. I guess he was, because it was, he was the one getting the title shot. And he comes in, and it wasn't about Adam Cole getting the title shot or getting the belt off of him. He got more revenge by getting everything off of him. Right? He took away just about everything that MJF cared about. And now he goes away, and then the return of him coming back to go ahead and get vengeance. That's going to be a wonderful storyline. They did a hell of a job with that. I liked it. But people are going to go ahead and complain about it. And listen, we can talk about that on Wednesday. Do you want to go and, like that, not like the way they do it? I'm going to wait till what they do on Dynamite to see what the payoff is. Because we'll get the answers on Dynamite. We'll get the ending there. And see what we get in terms of what we get for the setup. There's a lot going on, right? We're going to see what they're going to do with Raw. Day one, right? So they're going to have a day one Raw going on for Monday, right? We'll see that. We'll see what they're going to do with AEW in terms of the fallout from World's End. We'll get that part. So that's one thing we got. But again, very newsworthy show tonight. Very newsworthy. Aside from a few matches, we had the 8-man tags. Okay. The TBS title and Julia Hart with Sky Blue's help retains over Abaddon. I like that. I like the Julia Hart Sky Blue thing. And again, they just said she's 22 years old. And I can't believe at 22 years old, she's moved this far up. I mean, really, it's been, I forget how long it's been since she left the Varsity Blondes and she got spit, the mist in the face. And how much she's changed and how much her character's evolved. And I love it. I love what they've done with both of them. Sure, the Britt Bakers of the world and other women right now, probably not liking the fact that Julia Hart and Sky Blue and, Riho coming back when she does and taking on Toni Storm. And people feel like, well, there's some other women that they have on the roster that are not getting much of a turn. Well, yeah, but this is not, I don't see anything wrong with the Toni Storm run right now. And Julia Hart running right now with the TBS title. I'm fine with that too. I like both directions right now. I really do. As for the TNT title, great match with Adam Copeland and Christian Cage. Tore it up. No DQ. Nick Wayne taking a table shot through fire. Like the crowd got what they wanted. Like very, they really gave us real high end, real violent, extreme match. And really a WWE twist. When you use the fact that, okay, you use the contract that Luchasaurus, or to me, Killswitch, won during 0 Hour, which I missed. And seeing that contract being brought back into play, just like it would be a Money in the Bank briefcase, right? Anything like that. And Christian Cage persuades, gets his beast to go ahead and give over the contract after Adam Copeland wins and becomes TNT champion quickly after. And they make it so that Christian Cage gets it back. Pure scumbag. A very WWE storyline, but I like it. Nevertheless, I'm fine with that too. Don't have a problem with that either. And then when I look at Eddie Kingston, the run of the Continental Classic. Now, that was a pretty fun tournament to have for a good month or so after Full Gear. Give us something to watch, right? So after Full Gear, 6 weeks, 7 weeks, right? We get to this tournament. A lot of great matches to go and have. The scoring system, people might have gotten a little bit confused, but you know what? For us to go and get back another Jon Moxley, Eddie Kingston matchup, and Eddie Kingston finally getting the win over Jon Moxley and winning all those belts, I like it. Now, is the Continental Crown Championship, is that going to be something that will be regularly defended, or only the Classic every year, like the Bret Hart tournament, or the Owen Hart tournament? I want to know what that means. So, explanation on that would be good too. But overall, I'm fine with that too. And I try to think about what else there is that I really liked. But yeah, it's a good setup. No complaints there. I like what they did and what the setup is for it. But, overall, totally fine with it. Totally fine. Swerve Strickland wins over Dustin Rhodes because Keith Lee could not be in the ring tonight, was not physically available, was not medically cleared. Andrade, what is it? So I'm trying to figure this out now. Andrade and Miro took on each other, and they're saying right now that Andrade will not be back with AEW. He will be departing for the promotion. So he had his last match. He goes out with Miro going on top, and CJ Perry, double crossing on Andrade at the end, and that's the way they go with it. All right, I don't have a problem with that. And also they did the real thing with Daniel Garcia and showcasing him with the Blackpool Combat Club and all that going on to get things together. So that was something also they wanted to make sure to show at tonight. So people are also saying that Andrade is most likely going to be going back to WWE pretty soon. Now I don't know if that means if his contract is already done and that, there's no clause that has to go ahead and hold him back from switching. So, some people were saying, well, could he be on Raw on Monday night just like that? We don't know yet, but we'll figure it out. So, by the way, just a correction, MJF will have had a 407-day reign as champion. We already got the news that MJF is going to be taking some time off. That's according to Fightful Select, because he's had several injuries throughout his reign, and he wanted to make his dates and defend the title until storylines dictated otherwise. But he could come back and continue an on-screen role, but MJF's probably going to take some time off, and better off that he does. Not a bad thing, again, had that happen. Among other things that's also been announced as well is that there's going to be an early pay-per-view event scheduled for 2024, and so far, what's been talked about now is AEW is expanding its pay-per-view schedule, and they plan to do more shows. Dave Meltzer says that the AEW doesn't plan on holding another pay-per-view event before Revolution. They've already added 2 to 3 new pay-per-view shows from the end of August through September, but the plan is to go from World's End to Revolution on March 3rd. They don't know if they're going to have a show in April, although they don't hold Double or Nothing in Memorial Day. So far, already know that they will not have any particular events before. So the thing is, they just had Dynamite and Rampage and all. They're going to be going back to Canada again. They'll be going to the Southeast again. And back to Texas and Oklahoma and Arizona and Missouri and New Orleans and all these other places. So they're all going to be set. That's what they're going to be planning to do. Now, I think that's all I'm going to go and say about that. Like I said, we could go more into detail, but we need some stuff to talk about on Wednesday, so I will be waiting for that. And by the time you hear this, we will already be in 2024. But if you do catch this before, I'll be out and running around and enjoy myself with working on New Year's Eve, because that's what I do. I don't celebrate New Year's Eve necessarily. Well, just like the ball drop and whatever it does, right? Anyway, that's it for me. Thanks for sitting in, finding the show as you always do. KingofPodcasts.com is the website. Of course, you can find all my social media at King of Podcasts. Look for it on YouTube. Look for me on X, formerly Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Threads, LinkedIn, all that. And we'll talk again next year, 2024. Come back for another Wrestling is Real podcast, because wrestling needs us.